Hi. How's it going? How's it going, Yazzie Bozzy? It's okay, don't worry about your dog. Say it's okay, you can go whenever you please, of course. Don't worry about your doggos. Take them out and back in at your leisure. Hi, give me a second. Let me put this somewhere where it's not gonna be as obstructive to my eyesight. That could help. So howdy ho. Good to see y'all. So let's see. Let me try to refresh this here. I think if I make sure this is opened up and everything. I think I'm going to, oh, there we go. Oh. Oh dear. Oh. Freak out. There we go. It's Talia. Hello. Mwah. I would like to also I'd like to thank you, Gazi, for subscribing once more. Oh, you're at your current 2-month limit. Cool. Yeah, I appreciate that. 2-month streak, my dude. I'd also like to thank Rumply the Lucaria. How's it going, Rumply? I told you I'd stream like soon, and a lot of things got in the way, and then I finally did. And then even more stuff got in the way. So I had to do this, and then it took like, what, an hour or two? And now it's going to be like sound curfew in like 30 minutes, so I'm only going to be able to sing for like either as long as that or until a roommate tells me, hey, shut the fuck up. I'm going to have to move to a horror map. And then it's like, well, the sound to be more infrequent, you know. Of course, it's okay. It's okay. I appreciate you, Bobby. Okay. Little. Alright, there we go. I think that's good. Hey, yo. Hell yeah. Alright, un momento. Hello, how's it going? Oh, OVR Toolkit decided to fluff out on me, of course. When I need you, you fluff out. There you go. Remotes could cause sound issues too. I know from the screams. The last time that I did, no one got in trouble for it because I probably react differently to scares than most people. Though I have had one big fucking like scream yell before, but that was when I was like way younger. Give me a second, my dude. Horror radical. Oh. Sorry, it's my dog. He'll bark at anything that's out the window. Let's see here. Alright, honestly, this is probably going to be the one song I'm going to get to sing tonight due to, unfortunately, the current turn of events. Excuse me while I, real quick. So yeah, I originally was titling this "Can I Even Sing Anymore?" because it's supposed to be a sing like focused stream, but since I won't even be able to get an hour in, I've basically decided to switch that. This will probably, who knows, I might not even get to finish this song, but thank you, very self-initially voice. Thank you, Ozzy Bozzy. We all usually tend to hate our voices sometimes, but my friend Xander Fox told me actually it's due to so there's like some liquid in your ear, like it's to help you, it's to help kind of like channel and like absorb everything. But to us, when we hear our own voice, it makes our voice deeper than what it actually is. So only we can tell how you actually speak is if you're on like recording or something. Sorry, fixing standable. Alright, it's gonna put me up when I do this, so give me 1 second. I'm going to change my pin to the second. Why is it like that? Is it set to world instead of local? It is set to that instead of local. How about this? How about I just... Doh, that wasn't me smoothing, it was just me getting it set up. Oh my. Oh dear. My apologies. Got those moves. Oops, daisy. Oh my. And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I've traveled each and every highway. Oh, more, much more than this, I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do, and saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall, and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried, and I've had my fill, my share of losing. And now as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, no, not me, I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows and did it my... Oh, fuck. Highway. Oopsie daisy. I'm gonna just do the I'm gonna do the next line like it was the last line, you know, like the last one. So my way, same way. Oh my goodness. Yes, it was my way. Oh my goodness. Ah. Okay, so I completely flubbed that, unfortunately. Like, I was having to deal with the camera the entire time, and I realized, wait a minute, I'm small, so I'm looking up and not at the camera. Just like for the whole thing, and that was like the best, and that was like one of my best songs too, which kind of sucks. Oh, I never knew that. I never knew that it did that, dude. That's so funny. It's so adorable. Okay, give me a second. Ah. You have a lovely singing voice. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. Okay, that's right. Give me a second. Let me make it so that it's like affixed to my like new height. There we go. Oh. Well, this should be my actual height. Oh, it moved up with me? That's delightful. I was so worried about that. Okay. Turn the flying off. Okay, so let me make sure. Okay, so this pin knows that it's local, but does this pin know that's global? This pin does know that's global. Okay, so I need this one to be local. And now I'm gonna need it to be like behind me. Okay, so I'm looking forward, right? And this one, okay. Got it. Okay. And pin number 1. Hell yeah. Sorry, I'm still getting used to the whole camera thing. Take care of your throat, singer boy. I know. Oh heavens, my apologies. Dude, even though it's just that right now, because of like all the time stuff, I'm just not feeling it, which is unfortunate. So it's like, I don't know, I could have given a way better performance, but I just couldn't. But the thing is, I did drink I have drunken an insane amount of water though in the last 2 hours, just trying to make it so that this would be good. What's the next song? Let me think. Okay. The next song is going to be something a little bit more. So this was basically my favorite song for like so many years. Like so many years, it might still be my favorite song. It's just that I can't not. Like it's just that I can't decide now. But it's so indie 2005, like feeling like basic to some people now. But I couldn't get over it. You know. It was just I just loved it so much. If I can find it. We're trying to find the E's. I am so sorry. Like, if anyone else let that belch out, I'd be like, hot. But, like, it was me, so I don't even know what to say. Is it here? No. There it is. And now I gotta change my pin to number 2 because it's going to take me up there. Oh no, it didn't move up though on this one. Oh dear. Oh. Hey there, Delilah, what's it like in New York City? I'm 1,000 miles away, but girl, tonight you look so pretty, yes you do. Times Square can't shine as bright as you, I swear it's true. Hey there, Delilah, don't you worry about the distance, I'm right there. If you get lonely, give this song another listen, close your eyes. Listen to my voice, it's my disguise, I'm by your side. Oh, it's what you do to me. 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 What you do to me. Hey there, Delilah, I know times are getting hard, but don't believe me, girl, someday I'll pay the bills with this guitar, we'll have it good. We'll have the life we knew we would, my word is good. Hey there, Delilah, I've got so much left to say. If every simple song I wrote to you would take your breath away, I'd write it all. And even more in love with me you'd fall, we'd have it all. Oh, it's what you do to me. 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 1,000 miles seems pretty far, but they've got planes and trains and cars. I'd walk to you if I had no other way. Our friends would all make fun of us, and we'll just laugh along because we know that none of them have felt this way. And I can promise you that by the time that we get through, the world will never ever be the same, and you're to blame. Hey there, Delilah, you be good and don't you miss me, or 2 more years and you'll be done with school, and I'll be making history like I do. You'll know it's all because of you. We can do whatever we want to. Hey there, Delilah, here's to you. This one's for you. Oh, it's what you do to me. 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 What you do to me. Oh, 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 oh. No woof. Something that makes me worried though about like with the whole stream archive and like VOD thing is because like I feel like when I do this, because like okay, so when it's like this and I'm only doing the singing part, I feel like I should instead be muting VRC so that it doesn't like the music doesn't show up in there, but I can still hear it to sing along well. Give me one moment. My bad. Yeah. Oh, give me a second. Let me. Oh dear. Give me my. Give me a second. My stream camera is still on stage. If you hear any sounds, it's now my dogs wrestling. Because they're now in the. Oh, sorry. It's my dogs wrestling because they're now in here with me. Or at least Charlie always was, but Monkey was just. Yeah, there they go. There they go. Wrestling on the bed, playing. Yeah, so sweethearts. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Oh. Well, thank you, Yuzora. You look dapper in that suit. Oh, thank you. Oh, yo, Retro. Gonna lurk here for support. Apex with Husbando Wooly. I imagine that's what you meant by Husbando. Even though you're straight. But it's so cute because honestly, I like that you're embracing calling him your husbando. It's so sweet. I hope you guys enjoy Apex, okay? You guys are awesome. Mwah, I love you both. No, stand poor tail. Yeah, I know. My bad, Yazi. Oh, Jojo. Thank you. Have fun. You're so gassy tonight. Thank you. Wait, no, not that. Not that part. Sorry. But yeah, I because of all the water and like, I made sure to have a lot of eggs. When I told you I was making eggs, I made a fair amount of eggs earlier. That can cause a lot of stuff in your stomach, you know. You have talent. Honestly, I'm not even feeling it today. I have performance jitters right now, and I appreciate it. So maybe I do better another time as well. So it's nice to know that I'm as you say, this good. Like where I'm at right now. Love you singing. How much time do you have left? I'm gonna try to keep it going until like basically when I would be wrapping up for the night, but I got told to shut up a bit ago. So I'm gonna so we're gonna rotate into a horror map, I suppose, and if I get told a second time to shut the fuck up, then I guess who knows, maybe I might shut down stream, or I'll do something that's even more chill, like Disney Speedstorm, or I might just get off and me and you can play. I'm just not sure if, and I just hope that any answer is okay with you, Yazi Bazi, because I know you want to hang out, and I want to let you know that I love hanging out with you too, you sweet bean. I haven't seen any of these spooky worlds. I wonder if all these spooky worlds are like for like what do you call it? Are like not for spoopy. I think they're more spoopy than like scary. Fears was scary. Fears was scary the other time. I wish I had. I'll do Fears another time. Give me a second. Actually, I'm gonna put that into my games. I'm gonna do Fear another time with my front-facing camera, but I'm probably gonna wait a little bit, at least for a few days, to forget the majority of what I saw there, because I still haven't forgotten it completely. I'm gonna make it feel like a new experience, at least for myself. Let's see. Nightmare of Alice, dude, with a name like that. Any answer is totally fine as long as you're doing well. Thank you. Been a half-hour TBF. What does TBF mean? To be fair. Oh, yes. It has been a half hour. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see here. I do kind of want to play with other people on here, but I get the feeling... Oh. I wonder, though, if Sander needs someone. Because if he does, I could also stop streaming for that in the case he does. If he needs me, he'll tell me. He'll tell me. I trust him on that. Okay, sorry. I was thinking about a friend, just general worry stuff, like, oh, I loved him so much, I hope they're okay, you know. Sorry. Okay, let's see here. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I had a world and my mind just started going off in other directions. Really quick, I'm going to set up this world here, and then real quick I'm gonna go take another whiz. And then I'm gonna, yeah. He's doing well. I hope he's doing well too. I'll be right back, and I'm gonna let this load in the meantime. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Let's see here. Wabam. Hello. How are you all? Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Turn your world audio up to 100. Oh dear, okay. Explore Alice's nightmare. Have fun. It was like, oh yeah, this is okay, just for you to have fun. Oh, okay, oh yeah, of course. Have fun as I'm tortured. Make sure you have fun while we're dismembering your body parts from the rest of your body. No, okay. Fuck, you're like, goddamn, what the hell? Hello. Sorry, let me get my FPD or my Sandible coordinated. There we go. If you hear any of those little sounds, it's my dogs wrestling around. Okay, there we go. Oh my. Let me make sure that the VRC World stuff is on. Okay, yeah, it's on. Wow, it is super weak right now. That's okay. Oh dear, oh no. Give me a second, wait till it squawks again so that I can gauge the sound so I can tell it's not too much for anyone. That's okay. No, that's about appropriate, I would say. Well, it's a little off in the distance, so actually I should make it a tad bit quieter. That's okay. I'd say that's alright. Yeah, yeah. Oh, right. Oh shit, I should, I just realized you're only seeing this one moment. Give me a second. I'm actually gonna... Instead, what I'm gonna do is... Hey, Charlie, Barley, stop, Bobby. Oh my goodness, there they go. You beans. You beans. Oh my god. Oh, so look at them. Oh, look at the happy face. Oh, he's so sweet. Hey, baby. I know you're so excited you want him to do something, but you got to remember he is small. He can't just attack you like you want. And Rocky, unfortunately, is too big for you. While I'm setting this up, it's really funny. I just gotta say to mention that I have like 3 dogs. One's like so small, Charlie's like regular size, and then Rocky's just like big. And so I literally have like a petite, a Vendy, and a Grande. Like I have the petite, Vendy, and Grande of dogs, and it's so cute. I have one for each. They're like our little teacups. No. Guys, calm down. My goodness, you cutie beans. Give me a second. I'm gonna set this to cast so it'll pick up what's in front of me. He went ah ah ah. Uno momento. Ayo. 1. Okay, so while it does that, I think I can switch over tab and it might still work. Yes, it does. Okay. Okay, so let's see. No, my browser is meant to be showing. Yeah, I'm doing that on purpose. Give me a second. Let's see if I can... Uno momento. Uno. Let's see here. Okay, I see what's going on. Give me one moment. I'm gonna turn this over. Make sure it's capturing VRC. No, do not capture cursor. Yeah, I'm trying to show both. So let's see. It's only showing face for some reason. It's weird. I have my other set to show though. Oh, it's because I don't have it open like that? Oh, oopsie daisy, I forgot. Because of that, I need to swipe it back just real quick just to see. Really? What the fuck is going on then? Question mark? Has a face mirror option. I know, I use the face mirror to see myself. It's just, Hasho basho, boys. I wonder what is causing the issue then. If it's not having that closed or open. Charlie, monkey, calm down. I know, sweetheart. Thank you very much, Yazzie, for trying to help me, though. What if I did it like this? If I did this instead? Oh, it's big duh. I know why it isn't working now. Fucking give me 1 second. That's why. I'm a dummy. That's why. It's because I'm a dummy. Alright. Okay. I think... Does this sound right? Does this look right to you? Right? So which do you think would be better? Doe, of course. Okay, may I ask you a question, Yasi? Which do you think is better? My stream cam being facing me, being like the focus of attention, or do you think it should be my my first person that is of attention? Because it is a horror thing, so I'm mostly.
Don't be scared.
I'm a little scared, Alice. She said, "Calm down, don't be scared." I'm like, I'm not so sure about that. Because I do think I need feedback here. Like, as a viewer yourself, what do you think is better when it comes to sharing both perspectives? Like, do you think that do you think that would be better? First person focus and like stream cam on the side, or the opposite way? You can also answer face cam. You can also answer first person first stream cam on side, because I mean, in parentheses, it's a horror game, so you can also decide that too. I just think it would be easier if I could have your input on this. Because, you know, I'm not, that good with these things. I'm gonna click my thing again. Give me a second. Sorry, I was, sorry, it seems that my, chat kind of messes up every once in a while. Just see any way I can. Okay. I think it should have first person. You can get experience 2 that way. See, I think that too. Okay, let's see, what can I do then? Let me, oh, that's right. Here, let me Alt and Tab at the same time. There we go. Oopsie daisy. There we go. Alright. Oh, darn. No, I think it might be good. I think it is good. I just had to be sure. Oh shit. I didn't mean to pin that. I'm so not used to this. How does one even do this? And pin this message. There we go. No, you're good. Thank you. You're helping me. Ozzy Bozzy. You're a sweetheart. Thank you. I appreciate you even being here. My goodness. Okay. I'm gonna hop in here now. I'm gonna do that. She said, come on in. Don't be afraid.
Don't be scared.
She said, don't be scared. Do you fucking hear that? Danger, don't jump in. She said, come on in. Well, all right, I guess so. Oh, wait one sec. Hey, can I ask you a question? Should I, one more question. So, between my 3 cameras, oopsie daisy. Let me change this since I'm not in that world anymore. Give me a second. I also gotta. Okay, let me move away from this because it's obstructing me. Okay. Which stream cam would be better? Do you think this one because it has like more of me in it, or do you think of another one because it's close, or do you think of the third because it's behind me? Because like I would like your preference. I feel like it might be this one, the one that I'm currently on now, but I'm really unsure. It's a bit blurry sometimes. It shouldn't. Dude, that sucks. Give me a second. Let's see what I can do here. I literally have all of my limiters for it off though. Just freaky. Okay, and it's doing that, so I'm going to... That one is best. Thank you. Okay. What the fuck? Oh. Oh. Okay, this is happening now, isn't it? Let me just turn my headset up, I guess. Return to Alice. This is like Alice Madness Returns, or American McGee's Alice.
Good luck.
6 keys. Oh, it's a puzzle. Darn it. Oh, I hate horror things that are puzzles. Because that means I'm gonna be here forever. Grr. 6 keys. I'm gonna know. I'm gonna use that to light up everything, I think. Oh shit. Look more like lanterns to me. How would one find a key in here, though, is my question. Be helpful if you could not. Oh, it's big. Okay, I see what they're doing now. Okay. Oh, every single time you come close to one of them, they do that. Okay, I'm gonna need to keep one of these with me, I think. I've only found one key. But there's not a lot to look at here in this room. That's a nail. Never mind. I just heard like a weeping angel. Like I heard stone. Like, Jesus Christ! You heard it too, right? It was right in front of me. You can do it. Thank you. Give me a second. Let me. Maybe it'll. Let me also. What's your idea, Cute Bean? Goodness gracious. Stop. There's one. Three keys. There's one. Oh my god, my dog is just sitting right in front of me. And there's one under the table too. Doesn't seem to want to work under the table though, which is strange. What if I... Oh. Ha ha ha. I've broken their rules so that I can see under the table. Haha. Cannot snap at me. Okay. 4. Oh no, 5 keys. So there's one more. Just need to find it. Shush, I know. Here's hoping he's a vampire, so he has to be invited in. I'm trying to remember this really fucking good movie that I watched that was like recently. It was like a comedy horror. And it was just funny. Oh, that's right. It was called Renfield. It was called Renfield, and it was based off a side character from the Dracula novels. And they just made it wicked funny. It was just super funny. Shush. Shush her. Shush you. Shush your knocking. You knocky news. Rocky Charlie Bubby. Charlie Bub, stop. Oh, I thought there was thought there was a key in front of me. I was like just randomly on the fucking... Could you fucking not? Huh. Something weird about the flashlight. Let me... It's like it almost has to be an angle to see the floor. I have to hold it like I'm some, like, 16th century, like, man. I don't know what it is. Ooh. You, my good sirs, are getting to me. I think you'll have to search the other rooms. I was wondering about that. I just haven't picked up the keys. And I think I remember you talking about it. Talking about which part again? Sorry. My mind kind of got a little... My mind kind of got a little fizzy. I don't remember what I was just talking about. You said the one that I... Remember me talking about what? Sorry, bud. It's kind of bumming me out that I can't find that 6th key. The fuck, dude? Dude, I heard sounds coming from that fucking door. It was like a big swoosh sound. I was like, bro, am I about to die? Oh no. I'm about to be decapitap. Why would you want a key reset? Oh, if you... That's right. If you accidentally lost one. They are grabbable, so I suppose you could put them anywhere. Here's me reading about the giant hole that's up there. Okay. So this is probably a bad idea. But... So, what? I have 3 lanterns, right? Okay, I have 3 lanterns. Alright. I'm going to... It's 1, 2... Oh no, I have 4 lanterns. No, that's good, that's good. Wait, where'd the other one go? What the fuck? It was just here. You saw that? You saw that shit? Creepy. Alright. I don't like the sounds that are coming from that one. I feel like... It's kind of weird. There's like double doors and there's like... Oh, okay, so give me a second. The movie. Oh yeah, Renfield. I'm unsure. I don't really think I did, but who knows. Alright, moment of truth. Let's see what happens. Not that I have a 6th key or anything, which could end up condemning me. Oh. I can't even use the key. I can't even use the key. I'm about to just blindly, like, move my hand around just to find it. And just, like, hope it comes across it rather than me actually looking with my eyes. Shut the... Oh, that's where I found one of the keys, okay. Listen, scary stone goblin man that's just fucking shifting around the other side of the fucking wall. You can wait your turn. You can wait your turn, because I can tell that on every single other one of these doors, they're all just waiting, desperate to fucking kill me. They want to rip me to shreds. And you know what? You know what, Serge? Because you've been so impatient, I'm gonna make you wait. You're gonna be the last one in line to fucking tear off one of my limbs, alright, buddy? No, fuck you. Oh my goodness. Seriously, where the fuck is it? Dude, am I just not tall enough? No, this is my normal avatar height. This is an average height avatar, so there's no way that it would be even higher up. Come on. Come on. I'm looking for the look of a key on that, but I don't see one. So I don't think there is one. And I did check up on that list right there. Why do they... Why does everything have to be a puzzle when it comes to horror maps? Like, I mean, I get it, dude. But can't you just let me fucking just walk around and then get spooked? Dude, do I have to put in, like, such tremendous effort just to get, like, payoff? I came to a horror map for a reason. You think you saw it? Yeah, it's probably... Dude, it's a hilarious fucking film. I also love the voice actress. I mean, sorry. I also love the actress that's in it. I've listened to a lot of the stuff that she did voice acting for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 keys. Is there something wrong? Oh no, I put the wrong key in the one. I bet that's what probably happened. Okay. There's one that. So oh man, the one that I want to go through the most is the one that I can't find the key to. I've been around here forever. Gosh darn it. Okay, well, let's just go with a normal key, I guess. Let me see which one has the normal key. Because some of them are tied for ribbons, some of them are singular. This one's a singular one, then. Oh, I can't even turn it. It's just gonna be in there until... Okay. Got it. Darn it, that means I still have to find the last one. That's a 4. I mean, that's a 3. I need the 4. No, this is 5. Oh shit, no. Okay, so the one that looks like a peacock tail. A double. Okay. That's the triple. No, that's a triple. Huh. So it doesn't have the top end of it. This is the one it's for. Okay, just check and make sure things are locked. Okay. Every key's put down now. One was under the tables, but like now where the fuck do you... I would like... Why can't I ever just like go around in places and not have to solve like some dumb puzzles for me just to get a spook? This happens every single time. I usually try to do stuff for Halloween. I play it and it ends up just being like Puzzle Simulator 2013 with a 1 scare through the entire game. The rest of it is atmosphere. Slowly, God damn it, slowly caving away at your mental capacity. Ah, goodness gracious. I would love to. I would love it more than anything, Yazi. But I guess you're gonna have to tell me in a bit, because I'm just gonna have to BRB, I guess, for like 15-20 minutes. Because I gotta take the dogs out. Which sucks, because I made sure to do so before stream. And they shouldn't have to go until like 2 hours later, but... Gotta go, you gotta go, which sucks though, because it's like, it's really cold out there, and I have to literally put on a whole outfit just to take them out there for a few minutes. And then take that whole outfit off, and I'm talking like multiple layers, so it's the putting it on and putting it back off again that annoys me. You're good, you're fine, Bobby, I'm gonna take you out, you're fine, I love you to death. Alright, I'll see you guys in a bit. I'm gonna set up my AFK list real quick too, just so you know, so I'll be back soon, I suppose. Oh my goodness, it's asking me to do the calibration thing, so I have to do it in game first. Okay. can't see the game. Oh? Oh, okay. Oh, one moment. Oh, that's correct. I would have been longer, but my little monkey just decided he didn't want to go outside, so. Which is, I guess, somewhat convenient for me, but. Goodness gracious, sorry, I did be, oh dear. I'd be more chipper and, you know, probably better right now if things probably went better today. My goodness gracious. Un momento. Gonna try to make sure that this is a. There we go. Okay, today it's okay. This browser window, the scariest horror of them all. Yeah. It's okay, buddy. I appreciate you saying that, you cutie. So you said behind the notes, but the thing is, I'm like, what notes? Because right here it's to like, tells me 6 keys and the other is to reset the keys to where they were previously. And, so those aren't really notes, unless you're talking about these things on the walls. I didn't know that there was 2 of them, actually. I thought I was just, since I was walking around in circles. So give me a second. Darn. Key from that paper. Honestly, you'd be a smart boy if that ended up working. Darn. You're not dumb though, so it's cool. Yikers, McGikers. Oh no. Actually. Alright, monkey, you can come in. Come on. Come on, monkey. Don't rest too loudly on the bed, guys, okay? Okay. I just had that light thing, I think. Where did I... Oh, I moved back to the table. A little weird that they do that. Why does this always one start right here, though? Why does this one keep right here? And the thing is that I've been wondering if it's on one of the back of the cameras or lanterns, but I haven't seen it. Yeah, they do reset. Damn. Oh, I will enter Bloodline. Who's on the other side of that door? Okay, I think this is about... Oh my god, it was right there on the wall. What the hell? The other one was right there on the wall, but... Come on. Okay. Shit. I'm not happy about any of this. But at least we can finally be done with this puzzle and I don't have to... Spider. No? Okay, you just... Okay, so I just naturally... The last one that you would go through is the one that I found. Or is the one that, I found the last key to. So that's what was going on. Spiders. Oh, my lantern. I can't take the lanterns with me? Oh, you gotta go down that spider infested, no. And there was a spider. Spooter, will it hurt me though? Centipedes and spiders and all this other bullshit. Don't make sounds like that. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Exit. You found the hearth card. Exit door and leave this maze behind. I didn't even... It was a maze. I just ran right through it because I was terrified. Is there even anything down there? No, it just looks like death below. Spooter! Okay, it was just a sound. It was just a sound. It was just and only a sound. Will it let me? No, it won't. Oh, let me! Spider! Sorry, my pass through also went off at the same time. Hey, yeah. Maybe. It's not real. It's not real. It's not a real spider. 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 Want to hear a nasty joke? Yeah, totally. That would liven up my mood. I wonder which one I have to go through next. Oh, do I have to... Oh, I was already at the exit. Fuck me, dude. That's what I was waiting for. I was trying to figure out where that was. There's an exit door, but... It's a nothing. It's a nothing. So that was what I was hearing behind me. Because at first that was the one that made me, like, fucking sprint away. There's nothing there, okay. Oh, okay, my bad. Give me a second. Yeah. Take it to the exit. Where is the exit? Do I have to fall down one of those holes or something, or? I'm about fed up. I'm about fed up with this game. I would like to hear a nasty joke. Yes, I would. I would like to hear a nasty one, bud. I would appreciate it if you did. I have the hearth card, but none of the other doors were open. It said Is there anything down there? No, there's only death down there. What do you never want to hear from your doctor? Oh, what you never want to hear from your doctor. Oh, no, that's sad. Yeah. It's pretty bad. If one of you could open the fucking door, that'd be excelente. Excelente. Please. God damn it. There's no clear. Okay, you know what? I'm sorry. I don't have the patience for this one. I'm just trying to get my spooks in, and like, it's a game that doesn't let you really do that. I was getting scared of all the maze, yeah, but when there's no actual end to the maze, unless it's one into one of the doors that like, or sorry, one of the other like spots where you assuredly get killed, like that monster that keeps swiping me from the darkness, and there's like no fucking point, like. Path of the Accursed. Magically mysterious cave. Sounds kind of fun. Rooms of realities. The gates of hell. Okay. Motel. Now hiring. Okay. Made for spookality. Join the ranks of the housekeeper in this old hotel. Stunning visual, extreme graphics. Got it. Got it. Okay. Oh fuck. Did you just hear that sound behind me before I left? It's a shame. I think the last one lit up. Oh my god. If it did, I'm gonna be so earth. It's alright though. It's whatever. Hiya. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, buddy. I have no idea what andrologist is. My apologies. Alright, I'm back. Owie. Owie, owie, owie. Okay. Halloween World. 60 or more. Everything is local in case of respond manually. Dude, yo, the way it's pixelated is making me think of Doom. PS1 cockiness. Oh. Cockiness. Verticals go burr. Oh, it means in like that way. That's really funny. Cockiness. Cooked. Cooked. Cocked. Cockneyed. Cockney. Cooked. Coo. Hoo. Dude, I can't even fucking say this word. Verticals go burr. In preference, keep it noticeable. I'll have it a little bit off smooth. Because I don't want to hurt my brain a little bit too much. There we go, I'll do that. I love the music. Give me a second. I'm gonna turn it up actually. Give me a second, let me check just to make sure this is also good. Okay. New employees, welcome to the ranks of the housekeepers in the oldest hotel in the city. Reminder, tidy up the rooms, keep the doors closed, beware of mirrors, don't talk to guests, don't look back. If a guest approaches you... Oh, I think it says run. Pick your uniform on the left. Oh, I see, that's funny. So basically, tidy up the rooms and keep all the doors closed if you can. Don't get near the mirrors. Don't talk to any person you see, and don't look back. If someone tries to approach you, run. Okay, got it. I'm a monsieur. So I know it said beware misters. I'm just gonna guess you up there real quick. Okay. Actually, wait a minute. I have something for this actually to make what I just picked actually right. Give me a second. I'm just gonna put it back on. Cause I mean, if not like a full gentleman's attire, then I gotta tux it out, you know. I don't really like that. I didn't like that it shut behind me, bro. little not for that. Oh my god, a vertical hallway. This is gonna be awful. I'm so afraid though that they're just gonna be there, like right when I pop up, or I'm not gonna get to close the door either. Oh, it's oh, the hotel is living. Oh, that's not cool. Should I even go this way? Well, I mean, I guess we're already here, so. Oh, and there's 3 floors. Oh, fuck me. Okay. I'm gonna pick my favorite color, green, or one of my favorite colors, so over the other 2. That's not ominous at all. Oh, I don't like that it looks like I'm standing on flesh. Everything be moving, be smoothing. Oh. Oh, okay, I see. I think I understand now. I think I understand how the game's played. Oh, fuck me. That's not cool. No? No, sir? No one was there, and that's even fucking creepier. It wouldn't even let me run. It wouldn't even let me run that time. He looked behind me, dude. Oh, no, I should have walked right away from this motherfucker. Don't look at guests. Don't talk to guests. If you see a guest, run. I'm trapped in an elevator. Don't talk to the guest. Don't look at the guest. Don't anything with that guest. Is he still in here with me? I don't think so, but I'm afraid to look back. so not cool. Please don't say that this eyeball kind of counts as a guest, because it's a guest's eyeball. That's disturbing. Is that a trash can or something? Could I just kind of... Oh no. Oh, I can't even clean that up. That's unfortunate. Okay. I'm just gonna... No, wait, even funnier. When they see and they look at the lamp, it's gonna be like, ah, I can see you. Uh-oh. Oh, well, I'm sorry, I haven't been looking at chat. I've been so distracted. I'm sorry. Male version of the gynecologist, the astrologist. Yes, I hear you, Ozzy Bozzy. Yeah. That's. Is there anything down there? No, there's only death down there. Okay, now I get your joke. You're funny, Ozzy. Thank you. There's a Doom World 2. Yeah, I've seen the Doom World. I love playing Doom World. Stay away from mirrors. The VRC's user's worst nightmare. Yes. Looking snazzy. Thank you. I appreciate it. I really do try. I really do try, Fenny. Oh, I definitely would try harder for you. Mwah. Hey, sorry, I had to dig for a moment. It's like, mwah. Okay. A snazzy jackal. Thank you. I wonder if they'll have a carpet from The Shining. Boy. Mwah. You sweetheart. Mwah. There must have been one coming up behind me because that happened, and it happened when I was in the guy in front of the elevator, and now that happened. So now I had to go in here before it chased me and restore power. Stuck. Jump. Fuck. What floor are we on, Blue? Oh, it won't even. Oh fuck. Oh no. Oh no, it's one of these. Oh fuck. Oh dear God. Okay, give me a second. Let's make sure I don't have my hair up in a... Oh, my eyebrow's itchy. It'll light up when I come in here. I don't know whether that's worse or not. Yellow. Where was the beginning room? Is the beginning room gone? What the fuck? What in God's name? So they don't appear, so you can't just peek in the room and see the buttons there. There it is. Oh fuck, I don't know. Wait a minute. It said stuck jump. Oh, I need to memorize the order in which I press the buttons. Oh fuck, they killed me. Red, green, blue, yellow. 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 They even moved it. They schmooved it, guys. They schmooved it. Oh, I'm stuck. They just took away all the walls. Why did you... What the fuck? Son of a fucking... I gotta kill myself again. Red, green, blue, yellow. Red, green, blue, yellow. Backrooms cameo. You cutie. Oh, you both guys are such sweethearts. Oh, it's a cutie. Good luck. Thank you. Of course, there's a Backrooms cameo. Yellow switch. Ah, yeah. Red, green, blue, yellow. What's blue? Oh, dude, it's getting rid of the place I come from. Red, green, blue, yellow, red. My blue, green was this way? It's yellow. No! What the fuck? How do you... What? I know how to do it, and now's the time when they decide to... Why you do this? Why you do this? Why you do this? Are the gods punishing me? Fuck. Red, green, blue, yellow. Red, green, blue, yellow. Damn it. Oh, it does a reset, so it's like, it's almost like they don't exist. The game trolling. Yeah, it really is. It really do be. Oh, fuck. Oh, my face mirror scared me. I was like that, then I swear I saw it in the corner of my eye. Dude, it fucking got me, man. Okay, red, green, blue, yellow. Oh, that's not fucking terrifying at all. Could you not, though? Oh no, I hit red. I hit red. No, that eye stopped me from my pattern. I get it. You're terrifying. You're omnipotent and all-powerful. I understand. But could I ask you? Could I plead with you? Could I implore you to fuck off? Fuck! Oh my god, he didn't like that. He didn't like that, so he just decided, fuck it, just gonna... Oh. Shit. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I almost had it. You're right. It's 10:31, and if you want to join me, bro, if you want to join me, Fenny, I'd be down for that. I would even happily restart this whole world. I would be freaking out. Yeah, IRL, I would lose my shit. Red, green, blue, yellow, red, green, blue, yellow, red, green, blue, yellow. Red. Green. Blue. Yellow. Please don't destroy me. Why is that a vacuum cleaner? There it is. Get me out of here. Oh, I love the world. I love all the effort they put into stuff is charging. I don't think I can get on tonight. It's okay. Don't worry about it, Fanny. You sweet boy. No. They got me. Fuck. Got me. No. Oh, I didn't know you could just get away from them. Fuck. Don't look at them. Don't look at them. Don't look at them. Don't look at them. Fuck. But it said don't look at them. I'm gonna get killed. I'm gonna slowly move in this direction and just fucking hope, bro. Okay. Fuck it. You know what? Kill me. Just kill me. Oh fuck, I can't see shit. I can't move. I can't even move. Am I trapped? No, they killed me. They killed me. That's what happened. Okay, got it. My bad. Okay. I'll play this shit like it's Slender. Don't think I won't. That was up. No. It's just spawning bullshit in front of me. It's spawning bullshit in front of me. No. Why? Huh? Watch out, it's Jason Bourne. No, you son of a bitch. No. Oh. Thanks for playing. That was it? But that was so... There's not any more? Uniform that interacted with lamp in the previous room. Oh, so in the case anyone's just chatting up in here and you want to get back to your friends if you accidentally respawn here. Okay. Choose uniform that interact with the lamp in the previous room. Shit. Headset battery low. Give me a second. I was like, I feel like I'm forgetting something, is what I said. And then fucking that. Unfortunately, okay, so I have, let's see. Today I have a, oh right, that's right, okay. Let's see. Since, what time is it? Okay, so technically tomorrow, I guess? Yeah, tomorrow, let's see. My partner is off, so I can't really do anything as much as I would want to. For fuck's sake. Okay, you know what? If it's gonna be like this, then I'm just gonna, oh my god. Okay. Okay, a tail is allowed to have nothing. It's what I've learned. I can't. Not allowed to have a damn thing. Lordy Lou. Okay. Here. Are you happy now? Better be. Okay. Use X on left to get back to Swan. Story progress is blocked. Yeah. To be honest, I kind of just wanted to keep being... Oh, fuck me. I haven't been conditioned so far to freak the fuck out. Why is my FBT not working? There we go. Oh, it's standable. There we go. Radical. Okay. Of course. Oh, I didn't see anything. Do that, you'd have to clean it up. Aw. May you say something from the rules? You can do it. From the rules? What did I... You mean rules like TOS? Did I say something bad? You can tell me anything about the rules, I guess. You can do it, I did do it. No, you can do it. Thank you, Fanny. I appreciate it, buddy. And thank you, Yazi. I appreciate it. You guys are both so sweet, but you deserve the world. Is everything okay? Yeah, everything's okay. I was just, The world is kind of fun, I'm not gonna lie to you. I almost kind of want to do it again. Of course, let me just... Oh wait, no, I'm not wearing a normal tie, I'm wearing a bow tie. Let me just, yeah, there we go. Looking suave, looking spiffy, looking snazzy. Oh shit, that's me about to fucking fall back. Okay, let's see here. My friend Stir is trying to invite me to, Magic Freeze Tag, but tonight's not the night. Mi comprende. Okay. There's this new one right here, MKRS. I have no idea what the fuck that means, but boy, are we hopping in. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. Oh, really? Oh, shit. Couldn't look at the guests? Oh. Oh, you're right. You're right. It did say don't speak. Yeah, okay, it said don't speak to the guests. That's right. Is everything? Okay, yeah. And to run. Yeah, and to run. And to run. Nice, yes, of course. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second. Lordy Lou. Whew. Okay, because my OVR toolkit disappeared, I'm going to imagine that the initializing of the world is taking up the majority of it. And that it should be, if it's going to take off my OVR toolkit, then that probably means that it should be initializing faster. Yeah, see, connecting, joining, and then maybe I'll get my my OVR toolkit back. Yeah, my PC can only have so many things at once. Oh, what the fuck? Yes, I know VRC. Come on. You can do it. You got this, buddy. Come on. Come on, my man. Everything's cool. Come on, buddy. Come. You can do it. Give me a second. I'm gonna open the VR and then make it click it out of not responding, and so once it does that and then it finally works, since it usually wants me to click that, I'm just gonna minimize it afterward. But I gotta wait. Because I can hear it. VRC's just not happy about it. Holy shit, dude. It is not happy with me. It is really not happy with me. It's like, how dare you? You with your mid-tier PC try to come to this high-tier PC world. How dare you? I can't even fucking believe you, it said to me. It said, you don't belong here. Doh, thank you. You're cute and good. Doh, and thank you, Fanny. Thank you, Yazi Bazi. Yeah, I hope it doesn't crash too, but fuck me. Goodness Christ almighty. Oh, is it finally? No, it's not. Okay. Well, at least it's decided that it'll bring up a different image. So it's probably closer on its way to working. Ayo. Are we in it? Are we in it to win it, boys? We're slightly in it. We are slightly in it. No, it's just that VRC's not responding. Great. I got disconnected. We love that shit. God damn it. Okay. You with your mid-tier PC. Do you like ice cream? I do like ice cream. My PC is mid-tier. I do like ice cream. God, fucking, I love nothing more than fucking, like, ice cream wise, I love nothing more than, like, chocolate and peanut butter flavors. Oh, they're so fucking good. I love them. Oh, and I've had chocolate and, like, peanut butter. No, not chocolate and peanut butter. I'm sorry. I do love chocolate, of course. Chocolate was, like, my favorite original flavor. But now my favorite original flavor is either peanut butter or coffee. But to be honest, if you just have peanut butter and coffee in the same cone, you're basically in heaven. You're basically in heaven at that very moment. But you're top tier. No, you're top tier. You're both top tier, you and Fanny. A roof, cutie bean. Okay, since it's taken a while, I'm just gonna put this music on. If it'll let me. Bum 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 bum. I didn't like that I was dancing. It was like you trying to have fun in this world with your mid-tier PC ass. Don't make me laugh, it said. I really shouldn't have moved at all when I joined in here. That was my bad. I was just enjoying myself to the music, fuck. I think it's trying to catch up. Oh no, I'm just loading. So it might work. I'm just gonna not move. Okay. Wow, it is not a fan though. Can I? I'm losing my mind in Apex. Can I get a Lordy Lou? Lordy Lou! Lordy Lou, dude! I can't believe it! Lordy Lou, look at Retro! Look at Retro! He going supernova! Well, I appreciate your dancing. Thank you, I appreciate it. Have I tried Lassie? I haven't tried Lassie, no. I don't even really know what that is. Bathroom notice. Unfortunately, the level B2 bathrooms are currently out of service. We're trying to contact the plumber from station 05, but there's been no response as of yet. Right now, just use the bathroom on for Dr. Lang. Wait a minute, this is not what I thought it was. Is that an AC? That's an AC. I just want to let you know that there's an AC in this bathroom. Is that an exposed wire? Can I kill myself? Alright. No. Are we gonna have an alien isolation situation? Because my PC probably isn't fit to run this world if I gotta be running my ass. I do like how they try to make it look all PC One-esque though, but I think they probably made it too heavy in order to execute that, because the thing is that by making things like, it's like they put so much resources into making things look worse, but you could just make things look like PS1, quote unquote, worse. Even though that's fun, don't worry, it's a great aesthetic. I love PS1. I literally had a PS1. I loved my PS1 to death. I think the aesthetic is amazing. I think there's a lot to appreciate about it. I think it lets your kind of mind make up the rest of the horror based off of what you see. I would also, I thank you for whoever dinged that. That also made me remember. I meant to say, thank you to Rumply. Actually earlier for the tier 1 sub that he just got, and Yazora earlier for Yazi earlier for let's see, he's on his, I think, his 3rd month. Hola, hello Nugget, how are you? Oh wait, no, I think I know that bean. Yo, it's Nugget, what's up, bro? I think, right? Are you Nugget that, like, wait, no. Give me a second. I know, Nugget is the proto. Anyway, alright. You're probably a different person. Hello, Nugget, how are you? I hope you're having an absolutely wonderful day. Hope your night's going great. Hell yeah, Fantasy Restored, thank you. Of course, Retro. I'm down, man. It's an Indian yogurt-based drink. That sounds kind of fun, Yazzie. I think I'd like that. Nugget. Oh, no, that is the same Nugget. Okay, yeah. PS1 is amazing. Yes, PS1 is amazing. It's amazing. Okay, I now have context for which Nugget. My bad. My POV cam is jet black. Give me a second. I'll fix that. Oh, let me also make sure I can see it on my PC too, because I can have it still be this way if I just... Bamf. Oopsie, I have to move my on the monitor. There we go, POV cam. Right, howdy ho. PS1 is amazing. PS1 is amazing. Anyway, like I said, I feel like they could not use that much resources making it look like this, because the point of this aesthetic is not just for it to be cool and nostalgic and like help like your imagination make the horror even scarier, but also it's just that it also saves resources. So I just don't see how they could make a world this heavy and hard for my PC to handle, because mine's like a mid-tier. About to lock down all security access, contact that in office group. So if it's like this, and it doesn't have to do with this, it might have to do with certain things. Wait a minute, what did you say? About to lock down all security access. Okay, got it. Oh, Well, shit. Oh, the blue one's like... There's a soft buzzing behind this door. Could it be my imminent demise? Oh. Oh. Bitch. Seriously, why is it so hard to run in this world? What the fuck is the deal? Frying pan. No, let me take a frying pan in the case I get attacked by an alien. Like, it's alien isolation. So even before, at least when I get stabbed through the chest, I can hit him upside the face with it real quick first. Give him that old Rapunzel treatment. Seriously, why? God, my FPS. Dude, calm down. Why is it shaking, dude? What is going on? Give me a second. I'm gonna refresh that. I'm gonna refresh my face cam real quick. Or at least my cast cam, sorry. Oh no, it's not, it wasn't even the cam, it was just it having trouble picking up. Literally, it's the world, dude, it's the world. That's messed up for me. It got better when I wasn't looking at the... Oh my god, it got a lot better when I was making sure that it wasn't... That the mirror wasn't in the stream cam, or I wasn't looking at the mirror. See, yeah, when I do that, it starts to mess up. Okay, so it's not related to that. It literally has to... I literally have to keep away from all mirrors in every way I possibly can in this world. So at least I know that. Give me a second, though, everyone. I appreciate your patience. Sweet beans. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Give me a second. I realize what's going on wrong. It's because I don't have this reset. So it trying to grab the same one isn't going to work. So now it'll probably work. Yeah, see, it did it immediately this time. Okay. Wait a second. Now I just got to wait for the Oculus website to catch up a little bit. There we go. Here we are. Crop and scope, and now I'll move it, bam, bam, over to this, and make sure that this is up. Okay, there we go. Is this the Alien PS1? It would be fun if it was the Alien PS1. I was just making a joke because it feels like Alien Isolation up in here. I think I'm like 5 minutes behind. Oh shit, it's okay, Nugget. It's all right. Okay, I imagined you were the same Nugget. I had context for it. Thank you very much, sweetheart. Maybe it's really big. It might be. Take your time. Could be that it's rendering 2 cameras at once, possibly. But the thing is that, like, rendering the camera from VRChat is disconnected from rendering the one that's in my headset, which is doing the casting right now. So it's really just one camera. Or perhaps you meant one camera as in stream cam and the one that I'm seeing through visually in my headset rather than the casting one that you were... Mirrors are illegal. Vampire Tales confirmed. Yeah, right. I mean, I really want to be a werewolf, but I mean, I'm a werewolf kind of guy. Cutie bean. Thank you though. Vampire Tales. To be honest, I actually want to play. I want to play a vampire game. Oh shit. There's someone up in the vents, my dude. Oh shit. I do want to play a specific vampire game for stream sometime. But I'm not going to name it because I want it to be a surprise. It's an old game, and it's really big, and it's really good. Torn Diary. Oh, Torn Diary page. We completed the information pack today. I included pictures from the observatory at one of the few times we could... Wait. Oh, okay. One of the few times we could see is it without any equipment. It was breathtaking to see everything become a deep brownish red. I hope Manda enjoys as much as I did. I miss her. Holy shit! So basically, okay, what I miss her, I'm gonna guess that either it's a good friend or it's like her husbando. And then she was killed by Issa or whatever it is in it. So I can't, dude. That's terrifying and very sad. It's really cool. Look at this place, dude. Look at the place. Did I fuck it up? Oh, it wants that from me. Okay. Oh, but I fucked it up already, though. Will it not let me do it again? Clear, enter. Oh, okay. I think I see what it's saying to me. Oh, that's the blue one. Okay, one sec. I think I did it. No? I'm a little confused. That's exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, right? Listen, I love horror, but why does everything gotta come down to a fucking puzzle? It doesn't tell me an order or nothing. They all go away anyway. The fuck? Was that not enter? It said clear/enter. What the fuck? Grr! I'm gonna lose my marbles. I'ma lose my marbles. It's taking my mind away to another place. Striving to another day. To outer space. Oh my god. Wait a second. Do you know vampires used to turn to wolves? I didn't know that. Oh, you know what game I'm talking about? Yeah, I love it too. I'm happy you know what game I'm talking about. It's fantastic. It's lovely, bless you. Sounds like I'm scared.exe graphically. You're correct. Click that. Make a link, I'm sorry. It's okay, no, I hear you. I love that ambiance though. Yeah, the ambiance is amazing. They make a suggestion. And that old school pad synth for the buttons. Yeah, I know, right? It looks so good. Horror would hide clues for buttons literally anywhere else in the world. Yeah. Oh yes, Yazi, give me your recommendation. Taking my mind away to another day, yeah. Oh, I'm gonna guess that. Oh, are we on like an alien world or deep in the ice caps, and the creature busted through that window, and that's our context? Those must be smokes. There must be a. Oh, keep an eye out for the 4 colors. Okay, so elsewhere. Oh, what if I just like, what if I did this though? No, that's not what I meant. What if I, and then did that, and walked out? Would that unlock this? No, it wouldn't. Okay. Oh fuck, there's a blood splatter. I didn't even see there's a blood splatter right here. Oh, behind me. Oh shit. What if I'm the monster? What if it's me? What if it's me, guys? What if I'm technically the crazy fucking monster that burst in hid and killed all these like people up in this Arctic reserve scientist fucking foundation ass place? We in the back of the fridge by the bag of corn. We keep promising ourselves we cook, but we never do. Oh my god. That door lit up. Which door lit up? Which door? Which door? Cause like the thing is, I clicked this one. It just didn't give me anything. Yeah, I'm doing it. Doesn't do a thing. Can I look through it? Oh, so there is stuff through it, of course. So I do need to go through there. But how do? But how do the do thing? How do the how? How do you? Howdy do the what's-its? I feel like I need a fucking... I feel like I need a flashlight. Wait a minute. Oh my god, it's right here. Green, red, red, yellow, green. Oh my god, I'm so dumb. Oh my god, I should have saw that. Okay, the ad break ends in 10, so at least I'll be able to do it. Green, red, red, yellow, green. 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 Hell yeah. Okay. There we go. Yeah. Awesome. Oh, it didn't open? Fuck me. But I did a thing. What did it do then? If not open up any of these for me. Oh, it opened this. Oh, it's the key card I needed. There we go. Sorry, I'm backing up away from the doors because I'm afraid that one of them's just gonna have it immediately behind them for no reaon. Just be like, oh ha ha, be scared, be terrified, run, run, run. Okay, the complete silence is ominous as fuck, dude. This is ominous as all hell. Wait a minute. Oh my god, my hair. I know that people like me having both hairs on, but let me just... There we go. Just the original oneer, my guys. Okay. Let's see. Now it's just me without my fucking hat, sad face. This is really, seriously, yo bro, get... Wait a sec, who made the avatar again? Oh fuck. If I look up and away and put my hands down, it'll have less to process. Oh my god, it hates me just because I opened the avatar thing. See, I'm telling you about some of these worlds, man. They just do not like you if you don't have a high-grade PC. Come on. Come on. Come on. I'm even looking behind me, my man, just to make it. Okay. I think his name was something the Rex? Justin? Oh, it was Justin the Fox. Oh, cool, and he has a Lycanroc thing going on right now. Yeah, dude, someone released a Lycanroc model like time ago, actually. And it's super awesome. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Sit on my face sitting. Boy, are me and him the same person or what? Poor these kids. Fair. Sorry, I don't know why I'm looking at this now. Let's see. Anyway, Justin, could you give me my hat back? Cause that'd be lovely. Sinistar. If I get a guess about the lore, yeah, sure. Give a guess about the lore, buddy. Run, coward. Run, run. I am Alistar. Yeah. No, yeah, dude, seriously. Dude, I know exactly what you're talking about, man. I have a Lycanroc OC. Oh, it's so cute. Lycanrocs are awesome. Or that if you give a Lycanroc a YouTube channel, they evolve. That's amazing. That's awesome. There must be a mirror in this room or something, because it's making me blink out here. Someone fix this elevator now. Elevator is not broken. She's currently disabled after the cave in below. Go activate in the control office. Okay. Anything else out here? No? That's for a type of, that's a key card thing for a type of shit I don't have. There's one back. I think I'm starting to fall in love with shapes, planes and points and sides and the curves of smiles. That's a weird one. What if they did say something about Issa, so what if Issa is like this what if Issa is like this creature that has like a human like intelligence and they're starting to like learn and like enjoy learning, but it's also been getting them closer to like tearing people apart and shit. It said in the main, oh right, in the control room. I don't remember exactly what it said, but I know I have to go to the control room. It said activate in the control room. Is this not the control room? Fuck. I'm just like, I'll get that shit out of my face, like when I'm fucking opening the doors. I think Issa is the planet sun or moon. Okay, sure. They became a like and subscribe. Oh my fucking god. And Nugget, why? God damn it, I hate that I love that so much. That's so funny, man. Yeah. Dude, give me a second, let me. That was awesome, Nugget. Thank you. Oh, man. I want to activate in the control room. They don't give me anything to look at. Oh, the blue one? Oh, that's what it meant. Oh my god, it was right behind me. Am I gonna do this, look back, and there's just gonna be something moving across this camera that's gonna be like close or something? Let me okay, sorry, I had something in my teeth. Oh, it was purple, so I need to go through the purple ones, so. Oh, hello. Contact from stations 038 have ceased. Floor B3 is caved in after tremor destroyed its foundation. Begin evacuation. So what I'm guessing is that I was left behind and they all died, media player. Oh shit, that's kind of sad. Okay, so if I'm reading it right, okay. So stations through 8. So basically I'm going to say that this is in the Arctic and that a monster did creep in, but he went through all the other stations first. We can't find anyone here, so maybe he's not here until, and maybe they're not here until they get here again, the monster I mean. And basically what they're saying is that after Sweeney died, he was sad and he still feels for them, but also he can accept his death and that's fine because they did something awful, like probably to Isa, to make Isa or something happen. Or Isa is the planet, sun, or moon, and that a monster just creeped in. So yeah, this is my dam. Nugget is adorable, yeah. I didn't actually hear what it said, so thank you for explaining. Yeah, this is me trying to listen. I'll even listen to it again just so I can make sure or get as close as I possibly can. Sarah Jen lost in cold. With Lisa and Jen lost in the cold, they decided to hide in the earth. So they went down. So you know how people can like actually Sorry, my closet just moved a little bit like right next to me and it freaked me the fuck out. And I was like, it's the moon or something, since they need equipment to see it and cast a res brown light on everything. Got it. Give me one moment. My closet moving for no reason wasn't just terrifying or anything, but I looked in there and nothing's in there. So it's probably just a, if anything, it's probably just a ghosty goo. At one point in our lives, my roommate and my husbando, they decided to play an Ouija board at their friend's house, and we did it in the shed in their backyard, and I was in the shed with them, but I didn't participate nor put my hands on the board. And so, and because they were summoning a lesser and didn't get any answer, you know, who knows? Maybe it's just following us. And it's been pretty nice, to be honest. I've enjoyed, if there is an actual spirit, then I've enjoyed its company so far. Let's see. Give that closet movement freaky. Yeah, dude, that was fucking freaky as hell. I messed with one once, and well, that didn't go so well. Yo, I fucking hear you. Give that closet a karate chop. You're really funny. I've dealt with ghosts before. Yo, for real. I've had ghostly encounters before, but I haven't seen anything that's like an apparition. I've just heard things and seen things, move things that can't be, but it's usually in another room, you know. And I go in there to see. I don't get to see it usually. Okay, sorry. Let's get back to it, because that doesn't mean me any harm. If they did, it would have happened already. With Sarah and Lisa in the cold. Jen in the cold. Sarah and Jen in the cold. Hid deep inside the earth. Oh, that's bad. Okay, so basically they tried to hide away from the cold, and I think that there was something down there. Something about gold, I think. But basically, whatever happened, they couldn't really escape their fate. But the thing is that because of like the broadcast and it getting out, I think it wasn't a monster that killed them. I think they died by the cold, and they said that death is fine. Give me a second. But none of it had worked. They died of hunger. They couldn't escape. Oh, that's toughy. I'm trying to think. See, parts of it is so garbled. I've dealt... Spooked everyone with me. I don't know how to explain what happened. You just did. It was a ghost. But actually, my fun headcanon is that ghosts are actually fourth-dimensional beings that we only see the same... We can only see the same way a 2D person would see a 3D person. You are... That's next level thinking, dude. That is next level thinking. And you know, could be the truth. Or maybe the spirit realm exists. Or maybe they exist here with us, but we don't know that, you know? Could be anything. I'm gonna turn off the audio. That media player that's set up there. Let's see. Level B3 disable. Level 2B. Elevator, yes. Elevator now enabled. Coolio. To unlock the train lever, enter. Okay, I guess it's time for me to get out of this one spot in particular. Sorry, I'm just waiting for monster to leap out of me. I can't take the ominous nothing of this room. Oh, what the fuck? Yeah, this doesn't look safe, guys. This just doesn't look safe. Oh, is that the current floor? I'm gonna take it as a yes. Oh, we're still moving. Okay, I was a little terrified. I was like, is this where I have to go in? I thought it was literally gonna be complete pitch black. I was gonna be like, oh no. Alright, so here's the cave-in. So maybe it was the cave-in that broke the thing up top. Okay. Let me, Julie, let me... So, can you hear... Tell me, can you hear me over the sounds of that? Like, if I got closer? Like, say I was right here. Can you hear me over the sounds of that? Can you hear me clearly over the sounds of that? You can hear me. Okay, thank you. Yeah, you can tell me it in, you can tell me, that story in private. I'd love to. Let's see. Did David Szymowski make this map? I don't actually know who that is. Is it the painter that made those, the stairs that are endless and on, like, every fucking corner of the fucking, painting, you know? The one that's infinite stairs in every direction? With a very Alice in Wonderland, like... It's all I see. And then it's this time, yeah. But we both know that's a lie. I'ma take you on with me tonight. Within the hidden hoards of gold. Oh, that was the message within the hidden hoards of gold. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. The last they had no way to feed. But none of it had worth. They hid deep inside the earth. The only hunger to sate was greed. And dollars. Okay. Shame you had to change your heart. Okay. Password invalid. Okay, so okay, you need to put the pieces together. I need to remember. Okay, so... Okay. Okay. Wait a minute. Give me a second. Okay, I see what's going on now. Okay. Okay. No, okay. Fuck, I almost had it. I almost had it. Give me a second. Wait a minute. Okay. Okay, no. No. Fuck. Okay, I got it, I got it, I got it. Fuck. Grr. Okay. I got this though. Give me a second. Okay, let's see. Very clearly. Made iron lung, hrot, iron stapler, and finger bones. Are those all like, are those old like, paintings or like movies? Oh, and Dusk. Just order from the recording upstairs. Yeah, I do. I'm pretty, but I know how it goes though. It's just that they're all in different spaces, so I keep forgetting which one means what button. Okay. No. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, no. So. I thought so. Let's try that one more time. Oh, can't. Darn, that sucks, because I wanted to kind of read along with him once I got it. It's okay, though. No worry, that was awesome. That was fucking sick. That was a great puzzle, actually. That's one I actually enjoyed. These are all horror games. Do you think... Oh. Yeah. Oh, those are all horror games? Yo, that's fucking good! Yo, no, I know Iron Lung. Now I know what game you're talking about. Yo, it's that one where you're underwater in the sea, and basically it's kind of made like PS1, and it's like, there's, honestly... It's just that there's basically it's you hardly have to download a thing. I think because it's like not made of a lot of assets. It's literally just a maze with a monster in it. That's it, and you have to do a certain thing and keep your ship alive and shit like that. Yeah. Yo, I brought the tram here. Yo, the tram's here, guys. Yo. I went, That music, ooh, whew, give me some of that good age new shit. That's some new age shit right there. That makes me. That's some of that breathing music, you know. It's good. It's good. Oh fuck. Yo, hit me with them fucking Silent Hill beat. Yo, it's like I'm getting some like Resident Evil like Silent like Hill like some remix vibes right now. Yo! Yo! I really like the way they rendered everything outside. It sucks though, it's so beautiful, but literally it's the tint on these windows to make them look like windows that kind of takes away from the whole beauty of what they made here. Cause that's beautiful, dude. They see even over there they have those to kind of like make it seem like a skylight because I'm not supposed to put my head out here. Dude, that's fucking sick. Dude, that's so cool. Oh, I love this. I do too. Yo, dude, Silent Hill's great, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think, I believe... Okay, so for me, I think Silent Hill should go over Resident Evil. I really, really like Silent Hill. I'm just not good at any of those games. Honestly, I'm not even good at Resident Evil. I'm bad at the whole survival part of survival horror. That's the part I'm bad at. I just like horror, which people would see me as a lesser horror fan, I feel, because I actually enjoy what do you call it? I enjoy action horror. Like, it's why people, so like, you know how people ended up hating like Resident Evil 6 because it was like action horror? Because you almost always had enough to do with when you didn't have to like scrounge or like try to struggle. Well, I mean, I'm doing a, oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. So before I fucked up with my controller cable fucked up, I have a new one, but to be honest, it's really short and sometimes it even fritzes out, so it might not even work really that well, and who knows, maybe I shouldn't be trying to use games with it, but I will try in the future very soon, however soon I can, when I feel like I can. It stopped, but give me a second. Let's see. Can't be the first zombie in horror. Yeah. Yeah, right. Konami travesty? I haven't heard the... Oh god, what did Konami do now? No. Let's see. Right. Well, okay. So I was playing Resident Evil 6, right? And people didn't like it at the time because it wasn't what they wanted. It just simply wasn't what they wanted, so they trashed all over it, called it shit. But to be honest, Resident Evil 6 is a fucking great action horror game. I enjoyed the shit out of that. I mean, fuck, dude. You can literally fucking slide forward, like, from where you sit, like the seat of your pants. You literally can, like, fly forward and just, like, slide. That's right. Oh, wait, no, I think you forward slide while shooting, and then you can literally just, like, quickly, like, hop back, and then all of a sudden you're doing it on your back, is shooting people, or you can kind of do it either way, but anyway, you can kind of just throw yourself on your back where you slide and shoot people at the same time. It's good shit. It's good shit. Give me a second, I have to bring that thing up, because it doesn't... Oh, I think I might have heard of Ascension. I heard of Ascension, but I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about Ascension, unfortunately. Give me a second, let me just make sure I have this. There we go. I'm glad that I could finally... Fuck, it sucks. I only have like an hour left before I gotta get off, but I was happy that I was finally able to stream and like actually have some good times, and that the game was being nicer to me eventually. I hate that I had a bunch of hiccups that stopped me for an hour or two of streaming, and it made me so upset. Like, so upset. Because I just wanted to fucking do it, you know? Okay. To Dr. Dodson. From Dr. Not? Oh, so Dr. Not. That sounds like a male name. Okay. We're expecting a shipment soon from Station 01. Not sure what it is, though. Since no one seems to want to tell me anything nowadays. Whatever. Just make sure that's received on time and dealt with. Sure, Dr. Not. So says Dr. Johnson. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. There's different. This car door opened. This one wasn't open when I was in there. Yo, secret message for you. There's a secret key. I left it for you. It can help you get into the bunker quickly. I know that everything is falling apart. Check the film reel. Don't let anyone know. Check the film reel. Okay, so whatever my name is, they listed you. So what's your name again? Dr. Tesh. So thank Dr. Tesh. Where is the key though? Said there was a secret key in the bunker though. Maybe it's not in here. Maybe it's just somewhere. So it's gonna tell me there's a secret key. She just, okay, so oh, give me a second. Let me just make sure I'm not overlooking anything. Nope, okay, that's fluff, got it. It's cold out here. No, it's Dr. Oopsie. Yeah, it's that doctor. It's literally worse than Silent Hill Pachinko. I worry. I don't know. I don't know. I worry. But this is gorgeous. Yeah. Loud. Oh, great. Now we're doing this in the snow. I really like this so far. Now that the game actually decided to let me play and not fucking fizz out and, you know, fuck with my headset and my PC and shit. We have concluded that... Oh, Mark's notice. Okay, it doesn't even have the name. Okay. We have concluded that the source of the breach originated from your facility. An investigation has been opened, and the MKRS representative has been dispatched, who is expected to arrive at your facility in 8 months' time. There will also be an FSE penalty of 55 CDs, so I'm going to imagine that means credits. Wherever they are. As in currency. Anything? No? Oh, fuck. Oh, and it's blood splattered too. Fuck. Let me see all this. Oh, there are pictures of me, guys. Some of these are pictures of me in them. Mostly the one in the bathroom, apparently. But dude, that's so cool. Yo, no wonder it was having a fucking issue. It was being oof at me. They're three of them are me in the bathroom. One of them is me in the foyer. Long lost love note. Oh no. A knight of a great kingdom who found love in a beautiful fairy princess. Oh, her beautiful wings. Tragedy struck them when he was followed by his lover's dark counterpart, leaving no one anywhere at all. That's unfortunate shit, dude. That's very sad. That's very sad. Oh, I don't know what that was, but... Okay. No, I can't. Okay. 000. What the fuck? Okay, so I now have to figure out... It doesn't play, though. It doesn't play. How can I do it if it doesn't play? Is it... Because it looks like a tape recorder that would tell me the message, but... Wait a minute. No. Huh. Oh, they're all cards? Weird. Well, I can't go back that way. Give me a second. Oh, I need the pseudos, or the cards. Okay, so I need to collect those. I'm looking for those then. Got it. Oh god, that's horrifying. Yeah. Oh dear, that's creepy. You guys are cute. I appreciate it. You guys are sweet. I adore your company, guys. You're very adorable. I appreciate it. You know, if you guys, so I know that like, I know Yazi isn't into the thought, but Nugget, in the case I ever stream on VRC and you want to like, you know, join, especially for anything like this, you know, if it'd be cool if you'd like. It'd be cool to have someone here with me. No, oh, there's no, okay, there's no name, so I'm just gonna read it how I like. Give me 1 second. Oh, excuse me. My apologies. I forgot I'm supposed to be a gentleman. You have my sincerest apologies. I shall do better in the future. Will I? No fucking clue. Alright, finally. Okay. We finally established connection to the Roshians. The bosses back home say that the whole facility will be a huge communication hub at some point. Though with how much they delay sending additional resources, I can't help but wonder if we're mostly just being led on. There's one. Blood splatter over here. Torn diary page. Oh. The train is 3 days late now and all of our radio equipment's broken. It all should be working fine. No one can figure out what's wrong. While evacuating to the bunker, we might be able to get to Station O2 quickly via the tunnels. Okay, so I'm gonna guess that 2 people got separated. And then it was Sarah and Lisa. Guys, dude, it's a dude, it's literally an old fucking diner. There's a Coca-Cola thing up there. You see that red cap? Kinda looks like Coca-Cola sign to me. I'm probably just I'm probably thinking things. I must go, tired boy. Thank you for the stream. Have a good night. Oh, howdy ho, retro. Doe, good. Thank you so much for even like showing up and lurking and listening. You fucking sweetheart. It's awesome always to fucking hear you, dude. It's nice to hear from you. You fucking sweet, positive, lovely being you. I hope you have a marvelous night. Okay, get good sleep. All right. I hope tomorrow finds you well. Make sure that I hope that you get good dreams. Hope they're wonderful. Give me a second. I'm actually just gonna. Wait. Let me take this charging port out. Mwah. Or to say, got your fucking Codys. All of you. You're all Codys, and I love you. I hope if you're having a wonderful night. Sleep well, okay? Yeah. Oh no, wait. Forgot something. Okay, let's see here. That old school Coca-Cola signs. Oh, cute. More like burps, 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 ooh. You're right, Yasi. Thank you. You're cute. Oh dear. I need to make my boy smaller. I just saw the stream thing. I need to make Tail a little smaller. That's better. I think that's a little better. Coolio. Right. Now I remember why I went into the other room first. I wanted to make sure I had all the pieces. One more. Oh shit, they're photos. Okay. Tiny tail. Tail gets small, then I can pick him up and put him in my pocket. Cute bean. Yo, I'm so glad you guys say that, guys. I actually have I have like 2 alternate accounts for like VRC, but I'd never used them and I need to. But one of them is actually called Tiny Tail. This is so cute. It's another ladybug one. It's gonna show up, but while that's going on, I'm gonna let it do that. And I'm gonna go look for the final piece. Wrong way. Hmm. Darn it. Oh, I'm hungry. Anything in here that I just happen to miss? No? Okay. While that happens again, I'm just gonna reread this actually. A knight of a great kingdom who found love in a beautiful fairy princess. Oh, her beautiful wings. Tragedy struck them when he was followed by his lover's dark counterpart, leaving no one anywhere at all. Hmm. So I need to find the bee. No, the bee's right here. So what's the one that's up here? What is this? Oh, is this a moth with legs? What am I looking at? What the fuck? I need to find what apparently that is then. But I don't know where the fuck it would be. Wait, what is that? Oh fuck, I'm trying to... No, that's a picture of me in this room. That's a picture of me in this room. Look, give me a second. Maybe it could be hanging up somewhere. I mean, yeah, dude, look, it's me in this room. Dude, that's my tail. That's my tail right there. Oh shit, I can't point it. That's my tail right there. Crazy. On a tree, maybe? Dude, I need, like... They're gonna have to start making walkthroughs for some VRC worlds, I swear to God. This is... The look of that person right there.
Yes. I want the light, my child.
What the fuck? Oh, that's a dead person right next to them. I didn't notice. Oopsie daisy. Just fucking work, please. How am I to know? How am I to know? Does I feel like I need to? Tail. Yes, yes, yes. You may offer a suggestion. I worry I have to go back out there, back to where I was previously. Like, I'm worried I literally have to go back the way I came. But I don't think that they would hide previous parts of this puzzle out here when you'd had no context of it, you know? Oh, she's got a secret key to the bunker, right? Did you check the safe under the desk? I wanted to. I did actually. There was something right next to the safe that I clicked, and it was the first photo I ever found. Secret key. I left it for you. But where is it? Bitch tells me I left it for you, but the thing she didn't tell where the fuck it is. She didn't tell where the fuck it is. Oh my god, it's right here. Oh my god, it was right next to the thing, but it wasn't there before. I swear to you, it wasn't there before. I'm so triggered. Oh my god, oh my lordy. Oh my fucking lord. Okay, oh my god, okay, alright. Angie, fucking god damn it. Fuck you. Angie. Angie boy. Well, I have all three now. I'm gonna guess it comes in what order? B, bug, bee, lady, moth, butterfly. 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 Fucking won't let me hit this. Dope. That doesn't tell me nothing. If nothing plays in here, if I don't get any kind of indicator, then what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, what? If this is supposed to work and it doesn't, then what the fuck does one do, though? I think I've hit an impasse. I think I've literally hit a part of the game where it's like, where do you fucking go from here? Yeah, sure, another tip. On the screen, in the photo room, it has numbers. But I was looking for numbers. Oh, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, you're a genius. Thank you, Yazi. I'm sorry. I should have noticed that before, but I was too busy being Angie. Being an Angie boy. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so... 2, 3... 2, 3, 1, 4. 2, 3, 1, 4. 2, 3, 1, 4. 2, 3, 1, 4. 2, 3, 1, 4. 2, 3, 1, 4. 2, 3, 1, 4. 2, 3, 1, 4. 2, 3, 1, 4. 2. What? Why does it keep adding? Oh, I think I get it now. Okay, give me a second. 2, 3, 1, 4. Okay. I had trouble figuring out how these worked. 2, 3, 1, 4. 2, 3. What about 4, 1? But I did it right though. On the screen it has numbers. You're right. Oh, thank you, Nugget. I appreciate it. Thank you also, Yasi, for being... It can't be 1, 2, 3, 4. It has to. It literally means those means what, so it's in what order it's listed on here. 2, 3, 1, 4. 2, 3, 1, 4. But I did it right though. I don't... Is that to reset it? I was gonna say, well, let me click it if I do. Okay. Fuck. God damn it. Okay, well, look at this. 2314. Nothing. Wait, 1 4 3 2. No, not even backwards. Okay, shit. Yeah. Poor me, he's right. Holy shit. Oh my lordy Lou. Oh, how am I gonna get out of this? I've come so far. But it's just that it gives me nothing, though. It gives me nothing is the issue. So not even backwards worked. I did 1 2 3 4. I did 2 3 1 4. I even did that order, but then backed it up. I don't even know what I'm looking for anymore. Oh, my stomach. Fuck. Oh, I want to eat, but I don't want to finish until it gets home. Will it change? Damn. I mean, who knows? Maybe it opened a door that's outside of the space that I'm in. 2 3 1 4. Fuck me. Eh. Really? You're not open now? Fuck. I was really hoping that would be it. Fuck. Oh my god, and my legs are getting weak too. This is definitely not the fun part. I appreciate you keeping it, keeping it cool, bud. Fuck. Oh, that hurts though. Keeping it positive. Oh, that hurts. I ate well today, though. I don't see why my stomach would be hurting. I just don't get it. Wait a minute. It'd be dumb, and they probably won't let me do it, and I'm probably just wasting my time, but... No, shit. Did she hit a key, did she? No. No, not even clicking all around the place, no. Damn. One more time. Okay, sorry. I was checking to see if anything that wasn't just flavor text. Checking to see if they left anything small that could tell me something. Besides maybe the stations that were... There's an obelisk outside? Do you need to take a break? If I did, basically it'd be the end of stream though. You mean that big fucking mountain right there? No. This? The control spot pieces? Or is it like over here that you're talking about? Yeah, I know. I think the same thing, Nugget, which is what made me confused. Oh. God damn. I just grab the photos or something. Oh. I really don't want to end stream because I don't feel like I've had enough time today, mostly due to the break that occurred. I mean, not the break, the issue that occurred beforehand. I had like 2 to 3 issues pop up before I could actually stream today, which sucked because I tried to stream before. Did anyone like the little video I made? The little teeny video. It was easy to make, of course, but anyone like the little video that I made before stream started, where it was like me looking out to like the sunset, you know? And it was like, oh hey, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I wasn't talking in it. I made others, but I am talking in those. I decided not to talk in this one though, because I know that usually you don't really want sound for it, so I thought it would be jarring if I started talking, but I did talk in the others. Because just being like... So like how you'd see like old like school RPG characters kind of like do the move and do like the gestures, but their like mouth would never fucking move, you know? I thought it'd be cute. Joe. Don't. That was cute. Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Joe. It's control tower, my bad. Yeah, what do you think what the hint is saying? And also, where the fuck is the hint? Because I don't remember seeing a hint now. Oh, fuck. Okay. Never look up shopkeeper animation. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Piece of prose mentioned a dark copy. A dark copy. That's fair. That is a fair thought there. Give me a second here. Oh no, that's my front pin. Fuck me, no. God damn it. I meant to set that for my second pin. It's so finicky, my dude. Pin number 1. Some sort of reverse? Well, I tried doing the reverse order of the numbers that were on there. I even did one. I did the 2, 3, 1, 4. I did I did the opposite. I did the reverse of that. Then I also did, yeah, okay. See, I did 2, 3, 1, 4, the reverse of that. Then I did 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4, 3, 2, 1. And none of them worked. Oh, man. I want to get to the end of this, but it looks like it's not going to happen, but I need to. What does the note say again? A knight of a great kingdom who found love in a beautiful fairy princess. Oh, her beautiful wings. Tragedy struck then, when he was followed by his lover's dark counterpart, leaving no one anywhere at all. So shit. Sucks. I'll leave it up actually, just in case. So is it that note you're looking for? Is it the long lost love note? Or is it the note that was in the other location? Line up with the photos. Oh shit! You're right! Wait 1 sec, it says, oh, her beautiful wings. Oh, her beautiful wings. Her beautiful wings. Beautiful Wings works with Butterfly. No one anywhere at all. Wait 1 second. Wait a minute. Great Kingdom found a love in a beautiful fairy princess. I can't. Oh, wait. So 4400, beautiful fairy princess, because of the wings. Oh, her beautiful wings. So fairy princess is 4, beautiful wings 4. Tragedy struck them when he was followed by his lover's dark counterpart. Now, counterpart could be part of the puzzle, but then it's also leaving no one, anywhere at all, which is also a null sentence. So is that 4400? That, yeah, you guys are smart. Thanks, Nugget. I appreciate that. Yeah, you fucking smarticle beans. Fuck. 0044. No, but I can't do that. It makes it the first in line. Shit. Okay. But the bee stings when the butterfly does not. Butterfly and moth. Oh, you're right. Oh, those are both good ones, though. Okay, you're right. You're right. You guys are right. But the thing is that we won't know who's right until we can figure out what the very first one is, what the very first number is. A knight of a great kingdom. Found in love with the beautiful fairy princess. Oh, her beautiful wings tried to stuff them when he was followed by his lovers. So it'd be a moth, but a moth isn't that bad. But I suppose if you want to say it has a counterpart, it would be that rather than a bee. Oh, fuck, you're right. Leaving, yeah, bee, you're right. Leaving no one anywhere at all. That's right, because it kills. What are each of the photos? Bee serves a queen. Oh shit. Oh, you guys got some fucking heads on you. I appreciate that. Look at the brain beans over here. The bee stings when a butterfly does not. So last one is, wait a minute. Oh, I think that means that it's 4200, right? 4, 2. Shit! Damn it. Okay. Being Knight of a Kingdom. bee, butterfly, moth, and then no one. 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 0. Not bad. You guys are geniuses! You guys are absolute fucking mad lads! You've any fucking clue? Holy shit! That was awesome, you guys! Oh my god! Yeah! Not a fucking way. That's amazing. You guys are so smart. I would never get that in 1,000 years. Hell yeah! That's so cool. I knew no one was 0. Oh, it's the yellow one. And listen to that music too. Just take a moment to listen with me, like. Oh, beautiful. Magnifique. Is that Claire de Lune? I don't know, but it's beautiful. But if they are using a famous piece for this, then that's so awesome, man. Sorry, let me... So cool, guys. That's so cool. You guys are fucking rad. You guys know that? There's no way I would have gone through this without you. I especially can't think on when my stomach's like this. Hell yes. You guys are awesome. You fucking mad lads you are. You guys are fucking magnificent. Current diary page. The first one, not the third one. Apparently they discovered something over in Station 02, likely has to do with the original mission. However, many years back, the bosses back home said that whatever happened warrants them opening up the old tunnels again. Why can't they use the train system? Okay, now I can put it in the record player from earlier, but let's also see where this goes. Was it back the same way? No, it's a different room. Oh shit. That's not this. Oh, I thought we put it in the tape player back there, but I guess not. New Age music. Oh. Did it give me something? Administrator's note. Oh shit. I discovered a secret passage inside of the bunker that connects the old tunnel system from Mercury's first outing. Why the hell is it hidden behind a bookshelf? The bosses back home are acting weird. I think it's wise to keep things to myself unless something really calls for it. Damn. They might be just trying to save themselves from something, and like and honestly, that and other people knowing would make it harder for them to escape themselves, maybe, and that's what they're thinking. Oh, of course. You guys deserve it, though. We need a Burger King up in the Silent Hill Burger. For real! It's indeed Cher de Lune. Well, thank you. Well, you got a magnificent ear, Yazi. I don't have enough knowledge of classical or orchestras and classical pieces for me to have been able to call it out. Classic isn't really my dig, but classic is amazing. I do enjoy listening to it. It's just not my favorite, especially because classical has that issue, you know. There we go. Where it's like it doesn't really have names. They just have like specific things. Gave me something. Oh, that's right, wrong way. Oh fuck. My charger came out because oh no, it didn't come out, it just fell. Tail has some moves. Cute bean. Dun. There it is. Lovely. Feels weird though. Oh, there we go, the white key card. Alright, Radical. Doggo, you're here, dumb. Warm cozy fire. Wow, this does look like an old research place. It's all wooden and everything too. MKR seemingly refuses to supply us with anything on time, so we're going to have to temporarily move some of our specimens from Station 01 over to the bunker of Station 04. Specimens! No, it seems suspicious to me to do. At least it looks nice and rustic. Fuck. Yeah, so it did have to do with some baddies, dude. I think I'm gonna move myself a little bit and instead keep my camera over there. Oh. Is this what you meant by specimens? These beautiful flowers and these light bugs? No, that's nothing. Okay, got it. Give me a second. It's a really nice place. Don't like I'm hearing the sound over there, but that could just be music. It appears that multiple specimens of local flowers produce similar colors of light depending on their age. They first shine a bright orange when entering maturity, which fades into pale white pink before the petals fall off. Okay, so we need to keep some log of that. Tail, who's that behind you? What are you talking about? Who was behind me? Was someone behind me at some point? Have the opportunity to do something bad. Oh, that's what you meant. And Yazzie was like, uh-oh. Specimens of local flowers produce similar colors of light, depending on their age. No, Charlie. Okay, give me 1 second. Oh, give me 1 second. Oop. Oop. Oh, let me. I'm gonna turn the casting back on. Sorry about that. Oh. You sweet bean, you. My goodness gracious. I hear a sound in game, and it's terrifying. Stop it. Got some help. Okay, let's go. Let's see here. Okay, now let me make sure that I... Yeah, everything is okay. Yeah, everything's okay, don't worry about it. My boy, we just being big dumb, B. Behind a bookcase. So this bookcase, right? Yep, he said behind the big bookcase. Much of the invertebrate research on Henan concerns the particular species of sodafly, which contain particularly potent chemicals, vital to their bioluminescence. Okay, got it. Oh, I see. It's through there, but why can't I push over this bookcase? Do I need to press a button? No? Can I button right there? No. Oh, I see. There was a button hidden behind that. That wasn't really much of a puzzle. That was a get bored and look around. Oh. Back to actual horror, I see. Alrighty then. Oh, that's terrifying. Oh, fuck, it all is. Okay. It's all terrifying. Understood. Thank you. And breaker box door is typically locked unless each of the room's ACI unit has been cleared for errors. So this is going to remain locked until the errors are done. Remember to clear all when the tram is under maintenance. Some are connected. Follow the cables. Follow the cables? Okay. Well, that one goes right there. There's cable. Fuck me. I'm caught. I'm caught. I'm stuck. Get me out of here. Thank you. But the cable disappeared. What the fuck? There's flares in here. Someone needed the light. Someone needed the light. That's concerning. That probably means that someone was here recently and they could have been deaded. They could have died. They could have died. They could have dance. They could have dance. Tune to what you thought of me. Dance. This is the way we are. Sweet you. Ooh, misery, love me. Right. Oh, what the fuck? What is this bullshit now? God damn it. One to here. What in the fucking world, God? Oh, I see what it wants now. Got it. Oh, something happened. Oh, yeah. Oh. Hi, I'm so sorry. My chat just refreshed. Rawr, hello. Gifting 3 tier 1 subs. Thank you, buddy. Yo, you got one to Wolfen War and Zaru. Good service. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude. How's your night been, Fenny? You floofer? I know you probably just had me on Lurky for a bit. So it's like... So it's like 2, 3, 4? So is it... Shit. Was lurking indeed. Spreading love. Oh, you sweetheart. Give me a second. The music got really loud. Well, thank you, buddy. You're super sweet, Fenny Floof. I love you, you sweet bean. Give me a second. Give me a second. Do I have room? Do I have room? I'm gonna back up, and then I'm gonna do this so that it's closer. And I'm just gonna... you're so sweet. Thank you. I appreciate you, lovely bean. You lovely sweetheart, you. A lovely, handsome wolf Durgan bean, you. Yes. I've just you cutie, you sweetheart. Okay, sorry. I'm just making sure that my chat is fully updated so that it doesn't flake out again. Okay, so give me a second. 1, 2. They both go to the same one, right? Kind of. What the fuck? I'm going to... Ugh. I can't think on an empty stomach. You cutie. Cutie. You sweet adorable bean. Up right. Are we being watched? When did all this begin? When will it end? I draw my sword above my head and carve a line in the sky until I reach the place where I was born. Odd scrawling. Wait a minute. God, you guys are so fucking sweet. Are we being watched? When will this all begin? Draw my sword above my head and carve a line in the sky until I reach the place where I was born. So would that mean... No. I raise above my head. Being watched. And I raise it above my head, drawing a line across the sky. Fuck. Okay, then it probably won't be pertaining. It should pertain to this puzzle because it's right next to it, but apparently not. So I'm gonna guess when it says "Are we being watched?" I'm gonna imagine it means like through all of these mirrors that I've been. I'm gonna imagine and since there were photos of me personally in that map or earlier part in this world, I'm going to imagine that it's all the mirrors that have the cameras in them, or people looking through them. I think I have an idea. What is the idea? And also, thank you, Fenny Floof, you wonderful being. You're so fantastic. No, that's the other way. So what if I go this way? Oh, fuck. Yo! Oh, damn, that's beautiful. Oh, it's a film reel. It's a film reel. I needed that. Okay. Got it. No wonder I was having trouble already. But I mean, I've been super hungry and they're helping me with it. Have you looked at the ceiling? The fan? Oh, you have a fair point. Well, in this room it's nothing but wires everywhere. It's too dark. I'm gonna go to the room that has the player, because I just have a thing for it now. Not the video player, but the one that has the that's the tram, isn't it? I hope not. No, I went backwards, my bad. Wrong one. Wrong one. This one. God, with fucking film reels in this place, I feel like I'm playing fucking Benny and the Ink Machine. Which I didn't finish. I did stream a long time ago when I was literally a nothing. I am still pretty nothing, but you know, slow progress. Very interesting. Suggestion if you want to hear it. Yes, I would like to. I would like to hear it, Yazzie Bazzie. Hmm. I need to tell you something. Tell me something. Something very important. Oh, then tell me something very important. Importante. Can me. It looked like a brain though. They found them. Nurse Goose said that they were. Oh, they found Sarah and Lisa? Strange. Said that they were strange. What, you mean as in, you mean you're talking about Sarah and Lisa, or are you talking about the plants? The eye. Come on. Come on. Oh, I think someone got killed. There it is. Both of them in that room for days. Bottom left, bottom right. Bottom left, bottom right. Middle, up, top right. Plan for us to get out. Bottom left, bottom right. I'm sending your shipment to your station. Take it and all will be revealed. Got it. Bottom left, bottom right, middle, up, top right. Retrace your steps. Our path serves as our guide. We watch each other. Oh, they're gonna have me go back to the first place in the comfort of dark corners. Damn. And okay, so I bottom left, bottom right, middle, top, top right. See you soon. Shit. Oops. No, Yazi, I appreciate it though. Sincerely, I do. Just gonna keep playing it. No, it's showing a skyline at the bottom. My bad. It's still not done. Bottom left, bottom right, middle, top, top right. Sorry, just repeating to help myself. Not nothing. Oh, you sweetheart. Thank you. Nice music though. Is it just gonna play on music now? I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. Okay. Bottom left, bottom right, middle, top, top right. Bottom left, bottom right, middle, top, top right. Hell yeah. Okay. Enter. Oh, fuck. Yeah, it's all the cameras, dude. It's all the cameras. Yo, that's me in all the rooms previously. Okay, I need to know, okay, from each of these destinations. So the first thing I need would be in... I have to distinguish that room, it's a little hard. Oh, darn it, I didn't see, give me a second. One moment. Shit, sorry. One moment. I'll say back to chat, give me a second. Okay, let's see. Last time I must go, good night. Give me 1 second, Nugget, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what the world is. I think it's MRKS, though. I think that's what the world was called. No, it's MKRS, okay. I messed up the MK, it's MKRS. I messed up the order of the letters. Thank you so much, Nugget, for coming by. If ever you want to play something like this with me, like stream it or whatever, it doesn't matter. We can just hang out, man. I hope you have an absolutely lovely night, okay? And I hope you get great sleep. I hope you get wonderful dreams. Oh wait, you're right here. I'm sorry. Yeah, I hope you get great. Oh, well, actually, you can see me right here. So actually, there's no reason. Anyway, I hope you get great sleep and you have wonderful dreams. Okay. Yes, I hope your sleep is wonderful. I hope also like I hope tomorrow. I hope tomorrow goes well. Okay. May tomorrow treat you well. I wish the best of luck for you. Have a good night. Okay. Mwah. Something to eat too, Yukudi. Yeah, I have to. I will have to soon. I'll have to end stream whenever he pops back in here. When he gets home, I mean. So, yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Nugget. It's so cool to have you stopping by. Thank you, Nugget, and thank you, Yazubazu. You guys are amazing. Mwah, mwah. And thank you also, Fenrir. I appreciate it. And thank you for Retro for coming by as well. I know he's long gone right now, but still, thank you so much, Retro. And also, thank you, Rumply. Rumply's probably busy and onto something. I told him I was going to stream soon, but then all those delays happened. Those awful delays with the mic and all the other bullshit. So, stretch. Oh my goodness. Oh. Give me a second, I'm also. Okay, that's one arm. Sweet. Oh, thank you. Love supporting you as much as I can. You're so lovely, you Dorka Bean. Good boy. Of course. Thank you, Fanny. I appreciate it all. I'll hydrate as well, Yazi. And also, thank you. Hearts to you too. Mwah, all the adorable emotes to you as well. Though, unfortunately, I may have to go in a minute or few because, you know, partner gonna get home and they don't want me streaming while you know, yeah. So whenever they get in, I'll have to quit VRC, or like at least I'll quit VRC after, but I first gotta get send you guys out to someone else when I raid, which might be soon. But thank you so much, Finny. You're amazing. I appreciate it. You're wonderful being you. Mwah. Oh, mwah, cha. Oh my goodness, such a mwah. Make my heart go yee. Thank you for everyone that's been here so far tonight. I deeply appreciate it. I also like to thank Rumply for the tier 1 sub again. I know I said that like twice or 3 times this stream, but still. And Yazi with his redux. Oh. Oh no! You a darker bean, Yazi Bazi, you sweet bean. Oh my goodness. Oh, I don't deserve. They don't deserve. Oh, you sweethearts. There's 2 more puzzles? What could be besides the breaker? What could it be besides the breaker, though? What other puzzle is there besides the breaker in here? Oh, you guys, such a sweet doggo friend. I guess a dork being right. Oh, ooh. No, it's not true. I'm not a dork, a baby, fucking sweetheart. Well, no, Oh, Jojo, you sweet guys. I appreciate y'all. Yes, you are. Oh, you guys are cute. No, there's no puzzle. That's here. That's right. Wait, he said go back to where you were before, right? He said retrace your steps. So does that go back to the tram? Right? Give me a second. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I guess I'm gonna go all the way back to the train from before just to see if it asks me that. Yeah, you guys are sweet. Oh. It said retrace my steps, but it could also just mean talking to him and not my steps specifically. Oh no, it closed behind me. No, it was like, oh nah, you in the doghouse now. Got it. Okay, good. At least I didn't have to go all that way for it to tell me. Oh no, bitch. What the fuck do you think? I'll be like, oh fuck. Sorry, I heard this cute noise. Bob, are you fine? Officer Justin, please. Yes. Please offer the hint. I would be down. Wait, wires? One. Said follow the wires. But it could be in any order after that. Ugh. It says follow the wires, but then once it gets here, there's nothing, you know? Like, fuck. Think you're meant to physically retrace your steps or go through some other means? I think the solution is. How about say what you think the solution is? Because the thing is, I tried to retrace my steps all the way back to the beginning of this, and it literally was just like, no. Because it blocked me in. It didn't even let me go back to where I originally was. So, no clue. Huh. Most of this has been puzzles. Do you think that of course I'll have to revisit this. Do you think when I do that, I should probably switch it over to, this stream cam first instead of my first person view, because the first person worked better for the one where I was running away from things and being scared. Here it's just like, oh, the only horror is actually atmosphere. Oh god damn. Okay, that means my partner's here. So give me a second, guys. I'm gonna switch up real quick. So I hope you guys have an absolutely wonderful night. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope tomorrow treats you all well. I'm gonna go ahead and try to start finding a raid target. So I'm gonna shut down my headset too. I hope you guys absolutely have a wonderful night. Thank you all so much for coming. Good night to you all. May tomorrow treat you well. Yeah. Thank you, Yazi Bazi. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Alright, okay, yeah, sorry, so sorry. This is me, so I can still talk to you doing this, I suppose. In the case that I was need be is all. For some reason my headset doesn't seem to want to pick up after that, but it's okay. Uno momento. Oh, there it is. Ha! Yikers McGikers. And I'm just gonna set it right here, yeah. Alright. 1 second, you won't? Do. Papa, papa. I guess we'll send it to someone else that's also playing VR chat. I'll usually do it for whichever game that I'm set, or if I don't like that, I'll just do it to some other person that I know. Usually I'm looking for people I know, but in the case that I don't, you know. Yeah.